Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I am Lesego Mabena, and I am an associate at Harris Newpen Mulibatsi Attorneys. I'm here with my colleague Nkcukaitobi. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam. Mr. Tibedi must speak for himself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nkcukaitobi, and I'm a candidate attorney at Harris Newpen Mulibatsi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tibedi. Lieutenant Colonel, you are still under oath?
I'm still under oath, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Advocate Nkcukaitobi, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to welcome a candidate attorney to these proceedings. I don't think we've had one before, Mr. Tibedi. Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, Madam Chair, I said to the panel that there were 10 more reports to go through. I've been corrected. There are actually 7. So we could actually finish sometime today by 1 o'clock, contrary to what I suggested. But let's get going.
We are happy to hear.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Colonel, the next few reports are outside of KZN. They include Thokoza, well, there's Umlazi here, which is Randburg, Heidelberg, and yes, of course, and Don Park. And then there's Umlazi as well. Can you just, before you deal with them individually, just explain the context in which the Nkcukaitobi got involved in this particular one, and how you got to know that Nkcukaitobi was involved?
In the Thokoza one?
Yeah, well, there's Thokoza, Randburg, Don Park, and Heidelberg, all of which are outside of the jurisdiction of KwaZulu-Natal.
Chair, the Randburg, the Thokoza, the Heidelberg, and the Don Park cases, we got to know about them as they were brought by IP to us to continue with their investigations. But the Thokoza one, as I explained, it happened and I was called to attend the crime scene. At that moment, I didn't know that it was Nkcukaitobi involved. I only attended the crime scene. I only heard later that it's Nkcukaitobi who were involved in this case.
Yes, because there is that list that you mentioned on day 1 of your evidence, which is at Annexure CM2.
That's correct, Chair.
That does mention these cases. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. And so at the time you attended the scene, would that have been right when the actual event took place?
That's correct. I attended, it was on a Saturday morning when I attended. It happened late in Friday evening, early in the Saturday morning, and then Saturday around 8, 9, that's when I attended the scene.
Yes, and then when did you learn that firstly, it was the police that had shot those people, and secondly, it was police from Nkcukaitobi?
When I got to the crime scene, because it was investigated by IP, I was informed that it's police officers involved, but I didn't know that it was Nkcukaitobi. I only heard when we were busy with the investigations that the Thokoza case is also Nkcukaitobi involved in that one.
Yes, which is in 2012.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes. All right. And did you get to know, I mean, we more or less now know the group of police officers that would carry out all of these shootings. But did you get to know the identities?
I only got the identities when we were busy with the investigations around 2012.
Yes, no, I understand. I'm saying in 2012, did you get to know the identities of the policemen that shot the deceased?
Chair, I'm speaking under correction. I think it was Warrant Officer Mustard, Warrant Officer Nell, and I can't remember the third one who was with, because there were, I thought, 3 or 4 who went into the house. The rest were outside the house.
I understand, but the only point of importance now is to connect these to the usual persons that we see. If once you say it's Warrant Officer Nell, Inspector Mostert, that's sufficient.
That's correct, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Can you take us then to page 272, paragraph 292, Thokoza, case 176-08-211. Firstly, this is the Thokoza in the East Rand.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Can you just explain then how you said you got called on a Saturday morning?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, and then yeah, you can take us through the moment you were called. What happened?
Okay. Just want to check
All right.
the report. Which page is it?
Well, the report is 2A 291.
All right, Chair, I'll start at 2A 293, paragraph 3. Well, I said on the 13th of August 2011.
So just 292, is that page complete or is there something cut there?
292,
Yes.
it's complete.
All right, it's complete. All right. Yes, I understand. But, so, all right, thank you. So you wanted to go to 293?
Yes, 293 from paragraph 3. On the 13th of August 2011, during the performance of my official duties, I, together with Lieutenant Colonel Mota, attended the crime scene at house number 124, Mazibuko Street in Thokoza, for the purpose of crime scene reconstruction. The scene was attended on request of Sergeant Nkosi of the LCRC Germiston, the local criminal record center of Germiston, and the crime scene was also pointed out to me by Sergeant Nkosi. The intention and scope of the forensic examination comprise of the following: crime scene reconstruction, bullet trajectory examination, and blood stain pattern analysis. On paragraph 5, at the crime scene I found the body of the deceased lying in a pool of blood, a revolver with 4 cartridges and 1 fired cartridge case placed next to the body of the deceased, and then there were different blood stain patterns on the crime scene. There was 1 fired 5.56 by 45 millimeter caliber cartridge case in the same room next to the body, and 1 fired 9 millimeter parabellum caliber cartridge case also next to the door, but in the same room. And photo
is
1
there any
depicts
significance to those pictures?
Photo 1 depicts the house where the incident occurred. And then photo 2 will be the entrance, the front entrance of the house. And then photo 3 depicting the position of the deceased inside the room.
Sorry, Advocate Ngcukaitobi, can you sensitize the viewers?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. We are about to show very sensitive images for those viewers that are sensitive. I apologize, I should have done it before. Okay, so you are already at photo 3.
All That's correct, Chair. I'm on photo 3.
Taken by events, yes. Taken by events. So what are you showing us at photo 3?
Right. Photo 3 shows the position of the deceased when entering the room that he was found in, or where the whole incident occurred. And photo 4 is also showing the position of the deceased in the same room and the position of the revolver and the blood stains that you see there on the scene. Photo 5 is from a different angle in the same room. Now, starting from photo 6, it's the different blood stain patterns that was inside that room. So, because the purpose was to reconstruct the incident, how it occurred, I looked at the blood stain pattern so that I can know the movement of the body or the movement of the deceased during the incident, because it appears that some of the wounds were inflicted while the deceased was still standing, or there was movement of the deceased. So from photo 6, photo 7, photo 8, photo 9, photo 10, and photo 11 shows different blood stain patterns and their positions in the room. Now, if you look at photo 11, we have two patterns there.
We have two?
Two blood stain patterns there. We have a drip trail around this area, just behind the door.
Yes.
Here we have a drip trail just behind the door, and then we have this pattern also. I think that I will explain it as I continue to testify on this.
Okay.
Photo 12 and photo 13. Photo 12 shows the pattern that was up next to the door. And then photo 13 depicts the dripping pattern just behind the door. And photo 14 shows the body of the deceased, how I found the body when I arrived at the scene. And on photo 15,
So just to be clear here, this is the scene that you went into after the deceased was shot. It's not one of those where you went a year or two after the event.
that is correct, Chair. I went immediately after the deceased was shot while the body was still at the crime scene.
I see. Thank you.
Right, Chair. If you look at the pattern here, here you can see that there was movement of the body. So it shows the position of the deceased as depicted on the previous photos. It's not the original position of the deceased after the incident. And I'll show that as we continue with.
Yes, I mean, sorry, I know you have your own way of doing this, but you go there, right? They have just shot this gentleman, and unfortunately, because they haven't given us the docket, we don't know his name. Did you find out his name?
Chair, his name was in the docket. I can't remember.
No, I
his name.
know, but they haven't given us the docket. So hopefully at some stage when we get it, we can find out his name. But they've just shot this gentleman. And who do you find on the scene? Because the shooters must still be around.
Right, Chair. When I arrived at the scene, I was only working with the member from LCRC who pointed out the scene to me and members from IPID who were at the scene. I think it was the late Mandla Mahlangu from IPID who was with me from IPID.
And the shooters are gone.
The shooters were not at the scene by then.
Yes. Yes. And then, Mr. Mahlangu, did anyone say, look, the shooters were here, they've left?
That's correct. They said they were there, but I didn't inquire a lot about them because I was only concentrating on the scene, reconstructing the incident.
No, what I'm thinking about, if you look, for instance, at photo 15, according to your testimony now, the body has been moved correct?
That's correct.
So you would have been curious to find out who has moved this body.
Chair, I've asked the LCRC member. I think he also said the same thing, that he found the body in this position.
Yes, I'm saying that's the point about why the shooters were allowed to leave the scene, because as a reconstructor, you would have wanted to know who has moved this body.
Chair, I didn't ask about who moved the body because I only worked from what I could see on the scene and the position. I started working on the position that I found the body on.
Yes, yes. But I'm saying it would have been curious to you, like it is curious today, that there is a slight movement. And therefore you would say, well, who has moved this body? But the shooters, who are most likely the persons who moved the body, are gone.
It's possible, Chair, because at some stage, or sometimes you find that the person who moved the body would be the paramedics when they declare the person dead. So I didn't ask about those who moved the body.
Yes, thank you. All right, you were at photo 15.
Sorry,
Photo
I didn't want to disturb, but now that you've been disturbed, I will ask a question. Right at the beginning, at paragraph 5, at 5.2, you say in your report, a revolver with 4 cartridges and 1 fired cartridge case placed next to the body of the deceased. Why did you immediately get to the conclusion that the revolver was placed?
Chair, that is the position where I found the revolver. As I said, it was placed there. It could have been placed by the LCRC member. It could have been placed, but that's where the position where I found it. It might not be the original position where it was found, or it could have been moved maybe by the paramedics when they declare him dead. But because of when I started examining the crime scene, it was there. It was placed there. And if you look at it, it has been opened. The cylinder has been opened, and the cartridges have been removed from the cylinder of the firearm, placed next to the revolver.
My question is, didn't you consider that it could have been the deceased revolver that fell when he was shot? Because when you say placed, it's like somebody came and planted it, and I'm saying this is right at the beginning of your report. Or when you wrote this report, you had already considered all angles and you came to this conclusion? Or when you saw the revolver, you decided this has been placed?
Chair, by saying that it was placed there is because I found it there. So I cannot say it was placed by anyone, but it's possible that because the cartridges and the fired cartridge case were removed from the cylinder of the revolver and placed next to it. So most likely the revolver was also placed there.
Meaning that somebody handled the revolver?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where were you? You were at 15, eh?
Chair, I was in paragraph 15.
At photo 15.
Photo 15, yes. And then I passed photograph 15. On paragraph, on the next page, 28303, on paragraph 7, I examined the body of the deceased, and due to the bloody condition of the body, I could only notice only one possible bullet gunshot wound to the right side of the temple of the deceased. So it will be on the right side, on the right side of the head, on the temple of the deceased. That was the only wound that is visible at that time. And then the body was removed and taken to the mortuary, and we continued on examination of a crime scene. Now, if you look at paragraph 8, that's why I said after the deceased body was removed from the crime scene, I examined the area where he was lying and found a 9mm caliber bullet and a possible bullet hole in the floor on the tile where the head of the deceased was positioned. Now, photo 17 shows the bullet, the 9mm bullet that was recovered there on the scene. So it was basically lying underneath the body of the deceased. Right, on photo 18, shows the bullet hole in the tile on the floor where the body of the deceased was positioned. Photo 19 is a close-up photo of the same hole. Right, on paragraph 9, on the 17th of August 2011, I could not attend the postmortem. I have requested Lieutenant Colonel Muta to attend the crime scene in Jamestown mortuary to take the photographs of the wounds sustained by the deceased. The postmortem was conducted on body number 1502/2011. Photo 20 shows the body of the deceased, and then photo 21 shows the body number of the deceased. And on observation of the photos taken by Lieutenant Colonel, I noticed the wounds as follows. There was a gunshot wound on the right temple. Wound had characteristics of a bullet entrance wound. The wound was marked A. And then 9.2, the gunshot wound on the left temple. Wound had characteristics of a bullet exit wound, and the wound is marked B. So on photo number 23, and we had a gunshot wound on the left back of the head. The wound had characteristics of a bullet entry wound. Wound is marked C. And then on 9.4, a wound at the back of the head, a wound is marked D, which is on photo 25. Right, if we look at, okay, 9.5, the gunshot wound at the back of the shoulder, on the left shoulder of the deceased, the wound had characteristics of a bullet exit wound. Wound is marked E. Now, if we look at photograph number 28, on photograph number 28, we have this wound, which is the exit wound on the shoulder. We have this wound, which is B. We have this wound, which is C. We have this wound, which is D. And A is on the other side. And then there's wound on the chest also, on the left chest.
Wound, just go back, please, so that you can just show me. Start with the wound.
Right, wound B would be this one,
Wound A.
B.
B.
which is the exit wound.
Yes.
And then wound A is on the right side of the head, it's on the temple here. And then we have, on the head, we have this wound, which is C, which is another entry wound. And then we have this wound, which is D. I'll explain D later. It's not a gunshot wound. And then we have this, which is the exit wound, which is marked E. I think F is the one on the chest.
Sorry, which ones are the entry wounds there?
Entry wounds to the head.
Yes, yes.
Entry wounds to the head will be this C and A that's on the right-hand side of the temple.
All right, thank you.
I thought that yesterday you said that all of the exit wounds will be Bs.
Would be big.
B.
B.
Will be marked B because there would have been an entry wound which we will refer to as A's, and then all the exit wounds will be marked B's. Now
No,
you're
it
referring
depends.
to that wound on the shoulder as E.
No, if I'll mark B, then I'll have two B's on the wound, then it will be confusing. So basically the entrance is A this side, and then the B is this exit on the left side of the head. Now we have an entrance in the chest here. The exit is this one. I think the entrance will be A, E, and then the exit will be F, but it's E and F. I'll check now.
Yeah, just check that, because you have said that that one on the shoulder, which is an exit, is E. So go back and then show us clearly where the entries are and where
Yes,
the
the
exits
entry is on wound of photo number 27. If you go to photo number 27, the entrance wound would be this one, which is marked F.
Isn't that where the confusion is? Because we expect as laymen that the entry will be E and the exit will be F.
Yeah, I understand it might be confusing there, but in this instance, the E, because it was closer to where we started with the post-mortem. Because I started at the top going down. So my E was here, of which E is the exit, and then F is on the chest, which is the entrance.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
And during post-mortem, a lead bullet, possibly of a 3.38 or 0.357 caliber, was removed from the head of the deceased just below the wound marked B.
So where are you now on your report?
I'm on 9.6,
Which is
on page 28309.
What does that mean? It was removed by who?
By the doctor during post-mortem.
So meaning that it had been lodged into the skull.
That is correct. It is visible on photo 30 during X-ray. This is the bullet that was recovered from the body, from the head of the deceased. It's this one. And then go to photo 30. On X-ray, you can locate it. There's the bullet inside the head.
What are we looking at there?
Here is an X-ray photo during post-mortem
X-ray photo of what?
of the head of the deceased.
Of the brain.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you have your bullet here.
Yes.
And photo 31 is after it was removed. We have it clear there.
Lieutenant Colonel, before you proceed, I see here at 9.6 you refer to a lead bullet. And I'm going to link it with a question from yesterday. Yesterday you referred to a full metal jacket. What's the difference?
The difference is how these bullets were manufactured. With a full metal jacket, it's like I think I have a photo of the full metal jacket bullet that I'll show to the court, to the commission. When you say it's a lead bullet, it's only the bullet that is made only of lead, and it's the one that you see here is the lead one bullet. In most cases, when you have, because we have different types of bullet, you can have a .38 special, which is made of lead, but it's covered by a very thin layer of copper, and then it's completely closed. It will be a full metal bullet. And then we have a different one. It's the same caliber. It's covered with lead, but it's open at the front, of which we call it a hollow point. And then you have an FMJ, the full metal jacket. The full metal jacket, it's a bullet made of lead, and it's covered by a thin layer of copper also. I think I have a photo of the full metal jacket of a 9mm. It will be shown on the photo slip.
These different types of bullets, do they differ in the in their different categories of being lethal, or they are just different types of bullets that do the same thing?
Chair, normally it will depend on what type of a bullet it is. In some instances, the wounding might be the same. But if you take bullets like the hollow point bullets, on impact, when it hits, it opens up at the front, it mushrooms. So what will happen is, when it mushrooms, because it's in a spinning motion, it will create a more effective wound than compared to a normal full metal jacket. The normal full metal jacket will just push through the body and pass. But if it's a hollow point, what will happen is it opens up when it hits an object or a human being, and then it wraps the tissue as it spins. So it will create a bigger wound. In most instances, you'll find that if a person has been shot with a hollow point, it will start, in some instances, inside the body because it's wrapping itself with tissue that is damaged inside the body. But they do have a difference in effects when firing with them.
And now coming to the wounds at photo 28. Well, the deceased has a number of wounds and gunshot wounds on the head. And my limited knowledge or brain tells me that if one is shot so many times in the head might explode. But we see the deceased has got so many gunshot wounds in the head, and the head is still intact.
Chair, the head is, it looks like it's intact, but the skull has fractured a lot inside. It's only the skin that you see still intact. Because if we look at this part here, you can see that the skull has fractured. And with the wound sustained, I would say it's medium velocity or low velocity. It's not a rifle. If it was a rifle, it would blow the whole head. There would be a huge wound if it was shot with a rifle. But here you can see that it was shot with a handgun.
Meaning the damage is inside. The skull is cracked or ruptured in different places.
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you.
Yes. Where are you now?
We page 28310.
Yes.
We're going to 28311. Now but we used a steel rod to determine the bullet trajectories through the head of the deceased.
So just stop there because that picture might answer Advocate Baloy Meres's question around the damage to the bones of the skull.
That is correct. It shows the damage to the skull of the deceased. Because if you look at the skull here, it has cracked completely.
Yes.
And then I will explain, Chair. And if you look at trajectory, photo 33, showing the trajectory
Beg your
from.
pardon? Are you okay? You may pause. Just go out if you want to.
I think we can actually change because we've got two skilled technicians.
Yes, thank you, Advocate Mtweni. I see you are playing a critical role there, helping this young man. It's hard for all of us to look at these pictures. You proceed, Counsel.
Right, Chair, if you
Can you
look
just
at.
explain this picture? I couldn't work out if I understand whether or not that's actually the throat of a person that's been opened up or not.
That is correct. That's
Yes.
the body of the deceased that is opened during post-mortem. Because when they have to do post-mortem, they look into the internal organs. So they open up the body to check the internal organs, damages or the injuries in the organs.
Yes.
Now, if you look at this one, it enters here at wound number F. Your exit would be here at wound number E. go to another next page. It shows where the bullet exited at wound number E. Now from photo 36, 37, it's only the blood-stained patterns that I found on the
Can
scene.
you just go back to 34? So the person there that's wearing the blue gloves is holding something with his left hand. What is that?
It's holding the skin of the head of the deceased. Yeah,
Yes.
it's the skin of the head of the deceased head.
Yes. Does that show that basically the skull has been smashed?
No, they normally cut the skull open when
I see,
they conduct
for
the postmortem.
Postmortem.
That's correct.
You were at 36 and 37.
Right here from 36. I think from 36 to photo 49. It's only the blood-stained patterns that were on the scene, that are found on the scene. Now, Chair, I want to explain this so that sorry. Right here, I'll start at page 2A, 213, photo 35.
Two A.
2A, 312. Right here, the reason why I'm starting on this photo is I can see the drip trail here. I can see the pattern that is here, which can be a cast off, but I cannot explain how did it land there. And to me, it's like, it looks like the deceased was assaulted first, and he started bleeding. He was standing behind the door. And with an object or something, he was hit. Now, cast off is created when you hit somebody with an object and it gets blood. When you move it out, it creates a pattern of what is the blood stains coming from an object as you swing it back. Now, if you look at, you see the pattern that goes, it's like swinging an object backwards when after hitting a person who's bleeding. Now, if you look at this pattern now, we go to pattern number. You go to pattern number 38, photo 38. Now, when you go to pattern number 38, you can see the swipe here. You can see this, and you can see there's an impact pattern. Now, in this, you see the movement as the person is falling down. Now, if he was hit with an object or something on the head and then he falls down, he smeared blood on the wall in the movement of falling down to the place. Now, this is the place where we have a pool of blood. Now, the challenge in this that I had was that the wound that he sustained, the gunshot wounds he sustained, it's on the left chest, it exits here, and then enters the back of the head. And then it's this wound that is on the right-hand side, and it exits on the left-hand side. Now, with the postmortem, the doctor mentioned that the wound on the right-hand side was blackened and there's propellant powder inside the wound, which indicates that it's a contact shot. So the unbent and partially bent propellant powder that comes from the muzzle of a firearm penetrated the wound into the head. So that's why there was blackening and soot found inside the head of the deceased. So in that instance, the firearm was in contact with the head of the deceased when this wound was inflicted. Now you look at the position of the wounds that he sustained. It's shot on the chest, it exits on the shoulder. The wound that is marked C is the entrance wound, re-entry of the same bullet. So basically the shot is from downward, it enters here, it exits, and then it enters the head. But there's no exit, so I'm of the opinion that the bullet did not, it only cracked the skull and then came out. We look at the wound that is here, that is marked D. We look at the position where, behind the door where the deceased was standing. We look at this movement. I'm of the opinion that he was hit with something and then he fell down. On impact, he fell with the back of the head. That's
So
where
just
wound.
take us to this wound so that we understand what you're talking about. So we've got 26 and 28. So 26 is at 28308.
Right, 228. So 28 will be this one. So this is wound D. According to the doctor, it's not a gunshot wound, but it's an impact wound. So when he fell from the position where he was standing behind the door, he was dripping. I'm of the opinion that he had a wound somewhere, an open wound. So while he was standing there, the blood was dripping from that wound, creating that drip pattern behind the door that I showed. And on impact after he was hit, he fell down where he smeared blood on the wall there. He fell on the back of his head, creating this wound because of the impact when he fell down. And if you look at the wound on the chest, as I said, it's an entrance here, it's an exit here. The bullet re-entered at wound C, crushed the skull. Most likely it came back and fell out of the head. Then we look at this wound, A and B.
Do we have a clear picture of A?
Yes.
Is that at photo 22?
Wound A is photo 22. So this A will be the entrance of a contact shot. Now, if you see here, it's burned by the gas that comes from the muzzle of the firearm. So it's a contact shot to the right side of the head, and then it exits on the left-hand side. Now, this wound on its own, it's a fatal shot. There's no way that he will stand up after this wound was inflicted. Now, if you look at the wound, the other wound that he sustained, it enters here, it exits here, it re-enters the head. There's no way that that wound would be inflicted while he's standing up straight. It's not possible.
So that wound, if we, just to make sure, there is a wound at 27.
At 27,
Is
that's
that
the
one
entrance wound.
That would have been shot while he was lying on his back.
That is what I suspected. Now my challenge is, we look at the spat, the blood stain now on the scene. If we look at photo number 50. Now, if you look at photo number 50, here will be your impact point of the head. Now the challenge is spitting all the blood to different directions. Where does this blood come from? I cannot explain that. Because here it was a pool of blood, and it's like where you have a pool of water or water, and then you splash that water with your hand. It splashes to all directions. It's the same as what we see here. It splashes to that side. Look at here. It splashed to that wall. It splashed to that direction. But I cannot explain how did that happen. And you look at the last wound, which is the entrance wound. On the right-hand side, the exit is on the left-hand side. If you go through the post-mortem report, the post-mortem report, it says the exit wound had characteristics of a short exit wound. Now, with a short exit wound, as I have explained in other cases, that your bullet, instead of proceeding in the exit, it hits a hard surface. Now, on the X-ray photo, where we see the bullet, I want to check the bullet that is. Yes, on photo 30. We look at the nose of this bullet. It's flat. Yeah, it's flat. And we look at
Which means, which signifies what? The flatness.
the flatness. I'm going there, Chair. We look at photo number we look at photo number 51 and photo number 52. On photo number 51, we have a hole in the tile. And this is where the head of the deceased was positioned. So basically, this wound was inflicted while he was still lying on the, or while he was already lying on the floor. You can go to photo 52, I think. Look how deep is that. So the bullet that we see on the X-ray, that is still inside the head, is the one that was used. It went through the head, enters, exit on, and then bounced on the tile and went back into the head.
I see. And so, just explain the question of the chair. The reason is round shows what?
Where it's flattened,
Yes.
that's the part of the bullet that has created the hole in the tile.
Which is
So
at 52.
That's correct, Chair.
And then it goes back and then
It goes back into the
and
wound.
then gets lodged inside.
Get lodged into the head.
And that's why it's like blunted.
That's why it's like flat at the front.
I see.
I understand you. So as it hit the tile, it ricochets back
It ricocheted back into the
into the head.
head of the deceased. Now, if you look at the post-mortem report, where was it found? It was found just inside the head, next to wound mark B. That's where that bullet was found. And when searching the scene, there on photo number 50,
So it was found where you said 1B. Just want to get B.
B is the exit wound on the left-hand side, on the head of the head.
So it was found in 2A306, photo 23. Photo 23. Or photo 29.
Right on photo 29 there, it was removed from the head of the deceased. It's just next to wound B.
I see.
And something that I picked up there was on photo 50. I just need a clear photo of that. On photo 50, yeah, where I've circled. That's where the 9mm bullet was recovered. That's the bullet that I suspect it went in here, out, and then hit the head and came out.
Yes, I mean, one thing, maybe you can help us to understand. One of the bullets that are recovered from the deceased is a .38/357, which is mentioned at paragraph 9.6 of your of your report.
Yes, I'm going there, Chair.
Okay.
I need a picture of a bullet in one of the photos. There was a bullet that was recovered. The picture of that bullet that I'm talking about, that is recovered in the scene.
Yes.
Right, Chair, I can't find the picture. Yeah, it's that one. It's photo 17. Here's the photo of the bullet that was recovered in the crime scene, just also underneath where the body of the deceased was removed. Now, this is a 9mm, and this is type of bullet, that's what we call the FMJ, the full metal jacket. So basically, this will be from a police firearm. Now, if we look at the wound sustained on the right-hand side of the head, and then the bullet is recovered inside the head, it's a .38/357 caliber bullet. Now, the two calibers use the same bullet, more or less. The .38 special and .357 Magnum. The only difference is the length of the cartridge case, but the bullet's the same. That's why normally when we have it, we'll write it as a .38/357 caliber. Because it might be from a .38, it might be from a .357. So this is the bullet that was recovered from the head of the deceased. And this bullet was fired from the revolver that was found on the scene. As I said, the revolver had 4 cartridges and 1 fired cartridge. So there's only 1 shot fired from that revolver that was recovered from the crime scene. And the shot that was fired is the one that was used in shooting at the deceased in the crime scene. So with that, I cannot say that the deceased committed suicide, because in that position, he was already lying down on the ground when this wound was inflicted, where the bullet has caused damage to the tiles.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Do you still want to take us through the photo album?
No, Chair.
What are your conclusions? I mean, the one conclusion is that the deceased was most probably assaulted before he was killed.
That's correct, Chair. It looks like he was assaulted before he was killed. Because the blood stain, the dripping pattern, I cannot explain when was he there, because there's no way that after sustaining this wound, he would stand up and go and stand behind the door. So at some stage, he was bleeding somewhere. I don't know where, but he was bleeding somewhere.
Then the second conclusion is that he was shot both with a 9mm and a revolver.
He was shot with a 9mm and a revolver.
Yes. And we know the story of the revolver. It is found in at least 4 other crime scenes where the same police officers are present.
It was found in Phoenix 377. It was found in
Rustenburg.
Rustenburg. It was found in that other case where I think it's Scott, I think it was Scott Dukuza or something.
Yes.
No, Escort, it was Naidu's pistol that was on the scene.
Yes. Who was driving the white Honda?
That's Phoenix
Phoenix,
377.
I see. Yes. Yes, but the point is that it's found in several other incidents where the same police officers are present.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. And it's also found here.
It's also found here.
Yes. And what are your conclusions in that regard?
Chair, I would say the deceased was shot while in a lying position there. And some of the wounds he sustained, I cannot explain where and then how, or the blood stain that is there behind the door. I cannot explain how did it ended up there.
And we also know the story of the 9mm. This is the favorite weapon of Mr. Mostert.
That is correct, Chair. That is the firearm that he normally used. Mostert and Eric Nell. In this instance, I think it was Eric Nell who shot, if not mistaken. It could have been Eric Nell who shot with it.
Yes. Mr. Mostert and Eric Nell are the two that competed about who could kill the most people.
That's correct. And they were both at this scene.
Yes. And is it your conclusion that they are the ones who killed this deceased?
Chair, I cannot say they are the ones, but I could say that they were there when this person was killed.
Yes. Well, it's common cause they were there when this person was killed. Your conclusion is that this person didn't kill himself?
No, he didn't commit suicide, Chair.
Yes. Isn't it obvious who killed him?
Can you rephrase the...
I'm not rephrasing it. Isn't it obvious who killed him? So there's nothing to be rephrased.
Chair, I can't answer that again.
Thank you. You are not called for that reason.
I have a question. I know you testified that the bloodstain patterns are a bit confusing and some of them you cannot explain. But go back to photo 10. And correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Does it show bloodstains on the ceiling? Or the picture is upside down?
Yes, it's better. It's on the ceiling.
Would
That's the
you,
impact spat on the ceiling. That's why I'm saying when he fell very hard to the ground.
he fell very hard to the ground to a point that blood could have spattered up to the ceiling?
Up to the ceiling, that's correct.
Would this not be explaining what you described to us as a possibility of him whilst behind the door, having been hit with a hard object, which when moved, slided, could have splattered blood on the wall and probably on the ceiling?
Chair, first on the side of the one that you see, it will be on the opposite side of this. So it would not be possible that the cast-off would also come to this line, because your cast-off will give you the direction. If you're swinging to, your cast-off will go in the line that you're swinging your object. So this is on the other side, opposite side, towards where the head of the deceased was.
Not necessarily behind the door.
Not necessarily, that's not necessarily behind the door.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Counsel, if I may just clarify one aspect. At 2A-294, paragraph 5.4, you make mention of the fired 5.56 times 45 millimeter caliber cartridge. You have not said anything about that, or am I making a mistake?
Chair, you are right. There's a cartridge case of a 5.56 of a rifle, R5 rifle. Also the same, but the deceased was not shot with a rifle. So I don't know where did they fire with this, because I couldn't find any damage that would be consistent with the 5.56.
But you found that cartridge in
We
the
found
same
the
room?
cartridge case
in the
that
same room.
same room, yes.
Where about?
Uh, on photo 3. Right, if you look at photo 3, I think the 9mm was around there, and the 5.56 was on next to this cone. Because here will be the firearm, and then it's either here or there would be the cartridge case, the 5.56 that was there. And then here was another object, I can't remember what it is, but it's not ballistic related because there's no cone. What we'll do is we'll put cones where, when we do our examination, where ballistics related evidence is found. So here will be the firearm, here will be one cartridge case, and there will be another cartridge. It's just one was 9mm, one was 5.56. Just I can't recall where was the 5.56 and where was the 9mm. But both of them were found in the same room where the deceased was lying.
You state, however, that on examination, the deceased was not shot with that caliber.
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you, Counsel. Proceed.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you to just deal with your conclusions. You can read them to the record, which are at page 2A, 320, paragraph 11.1, up until 11.21. And I want you to pay attention to where you say at page 2A, 322, that when he was already lying down, he was shot again. But you can start with 11.1.
On 11.1, the deceased sustained gunshot wound from 2 different shots. The first shot was fired at the deceased while with the bullet perforating the left chest and shoulder and re-entered the head. The bullet entered the body and at wound marked F on the chest, and the exit at wound marked E on the shoulder, and re-enter the head at wound marked C. The bullet trajectory is from left front to back in an upward direction. When the shot was fired, the deceased was possibly in a lying position on the floor and not in a standing position or seated position. The trajectory determined is not possible when in a seated or in a standing position. 11.1.2. The second shot was fired at the deceased with the bullet perforating the head of the deceased. Bullet entered at wound marked A and exited at wound marked B, but the bullet trajectory is from right to left. The bullet removed from the head of the deceased during post-mortem was a lead bullet of a .38357 caliber and was removed from the region of wound marked B. The entrance wound, as described in the post-mortem report, gives the impression that it's a contact shot wound due to the blackening inside the wound. That is on page 3 of the post-mortem report. The appearance of the wound marked B gives the impression that of a short gunshot exit wound. A short gunshot exit wound is produced when the outstretched skin impaled on or sandwiched and crushed between the outgoing bullet and the unyielding object over the exit side, thus leaving an abrasion collar on the wound margin. The degree of shoring abrasion increases directly with the kinetic energy on of the projectile and the rigidity of the shoring material. The flat nose or mushroom, as described in post-mortem report, were caused as a result of impact on a hard object and forcing the bullet back into the wound. This gives the impression that the deceased was lying hard or was lying down on the floor with his head in contact with the floor when this wound was inflicted. In analyzing the bloodstain pattern in the room, I could determine that the deceased sustained a wound while in a lying position and created a pool of blood. At some stage, the deceased was in a standing position behind the door. They were still bleeding. This is when the drip pattern was created behind the door, as depicted in photos 35 and 36. There was a possible impact on the deceased head, which created a spatter stain on the wall behind the door, which is also on page 35 and 37. This could possibly be an impact or from an object as a cast off. From that same position, the deceased dropped immediately and fell backward. As he fell, he smeared blood on the wall, creating the smear pattern and spatter stains pattern on the wall, as depicted on photo 38. His head landed in a pool of blood on the floor with a great impact. The impact of the head in the pool of blood created the impact spatter all over the room, as depicted in photos 40 to 49. To create type of impact spatter or all over the room, it has to be hard or a very hard impact on a large volume of blood. I'm of the opinion that the wound sustained in D at the back of the head was due to the impact as he fell. As he was lying there, the second set of wound was inflicted, the entrance and the exit. Or were inflicted possibly with a revolver found on the scene. According to the doctor,
Yes, that's where I just wanted your comment on, because my reading of these conclusions is that both these bullets, the 9mm and the revolver, were discharged while the deceased was lying down.
That's correct.
Yes. Thank you.
There was no way that he would get this trajectory while he was in a standing position.
Yes.
According to the doctor on the post-mortem report, the wound marked A had blackening inside, which is one of the characteristics of a contact gunshot wound. Bullet perforated the head and exited at wound marked B. The head wound marked B is positioned in contact with the floor. The exiting bullet created a short exit wound by bouncing on the floor and re-entering through the same wound. It also created a bullet hole in the floor. This bullet was removed during the post-mortem.
Thank you. We've covered most of what is in your statement using the report you compiled in 2011. And that has taken us to paragraph 312. If there is anything you wish to add to paragraph 312 of your statement, you may do so.
No, Chair.
Yes. Thank you.
I think that's enough.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I just... Yes. All right. Can we go to Umlazi, the next one? Madam Chair, I'm told the docket is available for Umlazi. There's just something I would like to draw the panel's attention to. Yes. Now, that docket, Madam Chair, is at page UZ 0001. But if you just look at the index prepared by your researchers,
You said UZ
0001.
0001.
Yes. Yes. Now,
How are you going to refer to this document you've just handed to us? Because I was looking at the docket itself. Are you going to name it?
no, Madam Chair, it's in the dockets that we found from the researchers.
Yes, thank you. My researcher tells me that this document you have handed up was given by the NPA, but it forms part of the Umlasi docket.
Yes. Thank you. Now, if you just look at the index, it's just behind you, Lieutenant Colonel. Now, what you find there are two items. One is the docket cover page. The second is an incomplete and unsigned affidavit of one NB Sithole. But look at what happens next. The B section and the C section are missing.
Sorry. You're talking about Umlas.
Yes.
I think you gave us the wrong one. I've got Umkomas. Oh, Imla. So oh, true. Umlas is this one.
We are dealing with what, with 5.5 years? No, but the statements here, that's what. No, the statements. Yes. All right, let's just complete this section, Lieutenant Colonel. What we received from the NPA for these proceedings on 585/01/2011 is what is behind you there, which is an affidavit of one NB Sithole. And what I want to draw your attention to is the fact that the B section and the C section are missing. Is that usual?
No, Chair, it's not usual.
Yes. And when you look at the actual affidavit of NB Sithole, it's also just behind you. I think it's a 4-page affidavit that doesn't have a signature page. I think that's where it ends. Is that usual,
No, it's not usual, Chair.
that you have a docket of this magnitude with 6 pages and a cover letter and an unsigned affidavit. And the contents of Section B and Section C have been hollowed out.
No, Chair, it's not usual because we did visit this crime scene.
I know,
And
because
when we visited this crime scene,
your report
I
is
think
detailed with what you found inside.
that's correct, Chair.
So, do you have any explanation what's happening? I mean, this is not the first time we see this level of interference with dockets.
No, Chair, it's not the first time I see this with, because if I can recall, with the Nkabinde 3,
Yes,
the original docket, they were informed that it went missing.
yes.
It was fortunate that the father of Kwazi requested a copy of the docket before it got lost, and when we were there, he's the one who gave us a copy that he had of the same docket.
Well, you know that we are still waiting for the docket of the killing of Superintendent Congo, 3 months after we asked for it. What do you think is the explanation for this level of interference with dockets?
Chair, I don't know. I don't know how to explain this.
Yes. And you know, the problem with these dockets were once with the Nkcukaitobi prosecution team. Then they were given to head office. Then we asked for them from head office. We got 6 pages. So there's just something I don't understand with what's actually happening inside the NPA.
May I verify with you, Counsel? When the NPA was given the docket, did you verify with them whether they were given the docket with missing parts? Did you speak to them when they gave you this document and find out from them whether they were given this incomplete docket when they received it?
Madam Chair, the only thing I can say about the one we've looked at closely, which is Superintendent Congo. I'll deal with Umlazi now because the problem with Umlazi is that the witness details out what was found in the docket. So there was a point at which this docket was complete when this witness worked on it. You can see from paragraph 314 of his statement.
You have not taken us there,
Yes,
so
correct.
maybe that's why I'm trying
Yes,
to
no,
verify with you.
I understand.
I may be going ahead of you.
Yes.
Yes.
But you can see there that item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5, there was a point when this docket had documents. But I'm not going to deal with that for now because evidence has not been led. But with Superintendent Congo, the report by Mr. Dikok deals with the contents of that docket. So which means it was in the NPA at head office with the Dikok panel. This is why we asked for it. And it's 3 months later, they have not given it to us. So when you say to me, Madam Chair, when they received it, did it have the full contents? We know for sure with Superintendent Congo that it did have the full contents because they referenced those contents in the Dikok report. The problem is that they're not giving it to this panel.
I think, first of all, let's find out how you're going to place this document on record. That's the first thing, because it's a loose 2 pages of document which we may lose. What do we name it?
My learned friend says this is already with the NPA, and if I'm not mistaken, it's marked UZ 0001.
Yes, Advocate Nkcukaitobi,
Yes, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry that we are engaging with you this way. I think the explanation that comes from the advocate is that the NPA bundle is complete when it was filed. But when they were producing our copies, they encountered problems with the printer,
Yes,
and it left out these pages.
I see.
That is why we don't have them in the bundle, the printed file. I'm not sure in relation to this volume, where would these pages be fitting in properly? But we'll take it up with our researcher later so that they can show us at tea time where this document should be coming in. We should have been told about this maybe earlier than now. Nonetheless, I think we can proceed.
Yes. We will follow that up in the adjournment, which is coming in 15 minutes.
Yes. So that we don't lose this piece of, these 6 pages.
Yes.
Proceed, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want you to go to page 2A325. 2A325. That's Umlazi 585/01/2011.
I'm on it, Chair.
Now, you've mentioned already that you visited the scene. Can you just give us an outline of what was happening?
Chair, in this instance, the same modus operandi. Ketomena were looking for this guy, and they got information that he was hiding somewhere or staying in this. It's around the hostels or the shacks there area, and then they came here to look for him. They found him in this house, and they entered while they were busy questioning him. He tried to grab a gun and he was shot with an R5 rifle. But in one of the statements, I think the brother to the deceased, he was in the adjacent room, but if you open, I'll show the commission on the photos. When you open the door to enter the room, it closes the other room. So he was apparently hiding in that other room. They didn't see him.
The brother,
The younger brother.
the younger brother.
And then they tortured this one, they shot him. After shooting him, they placed the gun in his hand to pull a trigger so that he can test positive for primal residue. When they did that, that's when the brother screamed, shouted. That's when they realized that there was somebody in the room. And he came out. But then people were outside, they couldn't do anything then. He was released. But he submitted the statement. It's just that I don't know where the statement is.
Yes, well, it's part and parcel of this issue around this docket, because you mentioned that fact to us in consultation, which is why we have to find this docket, because it's the first time there is an eyewitness to the planting of primal residue. Now, the people that were here in this particular scene are mentioned at 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4 of your statement.
That is correct, Chair.
Who are they?
The statement of Warrant Officer John Charles Smith, the statement of Warrant Officer Paul Mostert, and the statement of Warrant Officer Roenden Naidu.
And these names we've seen before, just explain briefly.
That is correct, Chair. We've seen them. It's members of the Ketomena unit.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so you can take us through then in your own way.
Right, Chair. On the 30th of January 2012, during the performance of my official duties, I received the number of LCRC case files from Commander of LCRC, Devon Colonel Boltman. The case files received, including the file with reference Umlazi 585 of 1/2011. Devon LCRC 1408/01/2011. In this case file, I found key to the sketch plan and photograph compiled by Warrant Officer of Devon LCRC, and then the crime scene pictures, and I've also received the disc, the crime scene photos on the disc. Right, on the 16th of May, during the performance of my official duties, I received a copy of the case docket, police case docket, with reference Umlazi 585 of 1/2011 from Lieutenant Colonel Gola of the task team. Amongst other documents in the docket, I found the following documents which were utilized in crime scene reconstruction. The post-mortem report with reference 7 p.m. 90/2011, compiled by Dr. Sibusiso Johannes Ntsele, and was signed on the 7th of May 2011. The post-mortem was conducted on the 21st of January 2011. There was a statement of Warrant Officer John Charles Smith, the statement of Warrant Officer Paul Moster, the statement of Warrant Officer Naidu. The intention and scope of the forensic science of the forensic examination comprises of the following: crime scene reconstruction, examination and reconstruction, bullet trajectory determination, and expert opinion concerning the case. On the 17th of May 2012, during the performance of my official duty, I took the aerial photos of the crime scene using the police chopper, and the scene was pointed out to me by Lieutenant Colonel Kola. The photo 1 shows the house in question.
Okay. Just take us the page so that we can all follow where
It
photo
will
1
be
appears.
2A 329.
Well, my photo 9 is 328.
Oh, 328 and 329. Photo 1, 2, and 3, just from different angles. So our scene will be this house. Let's mark. And then go to photo 4 and 5. So on photo 5, it will be this one that we see at the entrance, the same entrance. This is the room that was in that the incident occurred, and I just want to check. Right, when you go to photo 8, photo 8 shows.
Sorry, before you proceed, Colonel, is photo 6 and photo 7 the same room? Photo 6 at 2A-331 and photo 7 there. Is it the same room?
That's correct, Chair. It's the same room from different angles. The photos were taken from different angles.
Yes, thank you.
Photo 8. Right. This is the room where the incident occurred, and then this is the other room where the other brother was in. Now, when you go to photo 9, right, this is the entrance into the room where the incident occurred, and that room is where the brother was staying. So now, if you open this door, it closes the entrance to that other room, so you can't see what's happening in that room. So the incident happened in this room while the brother was in that other room, and you could see them through these small holes on the door.
Because at the time of the incident, that door was like that, it was closed.
Now, in this way, it's closed from outside. If you're coming from outside, entering you enter from this door. But now, if you open, when you enter here, you open it, it closes to this side now. So he was in that side where, when this door is open, when you enter, it closing the other side of the other room.
And what I mean, Colonel, is how could he see what was going on the other side?
On this side?
Yes.
He said there were spaces here between these panels that you could see inside what is happening on that other side.
Thank you.
Right, photo 9 also shows the same room from a different angle. Now, on paragraph 8 on 2A334, on observation of the crime scene photos on the disc and photo albums compiled by Warrant Officer of LCRC notice, I noticed the following. This is photo 10 shows the window of that room, and in photo 11 shows the position of the deceased inside the room.
After he had been shot.
That's correct. It's after he was shot. So here's the deceased where he's lying. And here's the alleged gun that he tried to grab.
Is he naked or am I?
Photo 12.
Yes, actually, photo 12 explains. Yes.
Explains. Now, when you go to photo 13, what is interesting here is we have a fired cartridge case of R5 on top of the body, which is here on top of the body of the deceased. Photo 14
Sorry, and I apologize. I wasn't aware that my mic has been on all the time. But what does that signify? That the cartridge is on top of the body of the deceased?
Chair, I will explain that also.
Thank you.
Right, on photo 14. Photo 14 shows the 2 gunshot wounds he sustained on the chest. And photo 15 shows another gunshot wound on the forehead, just above the right eye. It's positioned here. Now, in this instance, you can see how the skull is cracked.
So photo 14, those 2 gunshot wounds, photo 14, is that the stomach?
Yeah, it's at the stomach, just between the stomach and the chest, it's around this
Between
area.
stomach. Thank you.
Right, on paragraph 9, I explained that during examination of the crime scene, I noticed that I noticed some changes in the room as compared to the crime scene photos. I was informed that the bed was positioned where the buckets are positioned as in photo 6 and photo 9. So there were changes made inside the room when we were doing our investigations of the crime. And then photo 10, I studied the post-mortem report, observed the crime scene photos, and I noticed that the wound sustained to the head of the deceased, as visible on photo 15, is consistent with the wounds described by the doctor and on post-mortem report, which is wound A. According to the doctor's description of the wound, it has characteristics of a bullet entrance wound. The wounds sustained on the right side of the chest are also consistent with wounds described in the post-mortem as B and C, B1 and C1. Again, according to the doctor's description, they both had characteristics of bullet entrance wound and were surrounded by stippling. Now, the doctor is mentioning it or is describing it as stippling. Stippling is the same as or another name for tattooing. So this indicates that the rifle was held at a distance of less than a meter from the deceased, because both wounds are surrounded by unbent and partially bent propellant powder on the entrance.
I mean, what does this mean? That you're carrying an R5 rifle in a distance of less than a meter from the deceased?
That's correct, Chair. That's how these wounds were inflicted on the body. After observation of the crime scene photos and post-mortem, I am of the opinion that the wounds sustained by the deceased are consistent with high-velocity bullets or rifle bullets, and not low-velocity or maybe not a handgun. It's a rifle that was used. The presence of unbent and partially bent propellant powder particles around the wound, described by the doctor as stippling, is an indication of a close-range shot. The more concentrated and smaller the pattern, the closer the muzzle of the firearm to the target. There are 2 bullet entry wounds on almost the same position, and both wounds are surrounded by stippling, taking into account that these 2 wounds on the same position, it would be difficult to determine the possible distance determination at which the shots were fired. Because the reason why it's going to be difficult is that if it's one shot, we measure the pattern, how big is that pattern of propellant powder or tattooing, then you can do a distance determination. But in this instance, it's 2 shots, so it will be propellant from 2 different shots. The pattern might be bigger or might be, so it's going to be confusing to say how far was, but what we can say is the firearm was less than a meter from the body of the deceased when the wound was inflicted.
I just remember to go back to the question by Advocate Baloyi.
Yes, I'll go to that one.
Thank you.
The more concentrated, right there is where I explained the tattooing. Giving my personal opinion and experience from the muzzle, the size of the stapling or the tattooing around the wound, as described by the doctor, I am of the opinion that the shot was fired, or the shots were fired at the range of not more than 50 meters from. That's correct. Right, in paragraph 11.3, the 2 wounds sustained on the chest were most probably inflicted before the wound sustained on the forehead. Now, the position of the fired cartridge
Just to stop there, the wounds sustained between the chest and the stomach were sustained with that.
He fell immediately after.
And then after that, then they shot him in the head.
That's correct, Chair. He fell, and then that's where the explanation of the cartridge case on top of the body comes. He was shot twice with R5, and then he fell backward. So this wound was inflicted while he was already down. So the fired cartridge from this shot bounced on the wall and came back and landed on top of him. So this indicates that he was already there when this wound was inflicted. The cartridge case bounced somewhere on the wall and then came, landed on top of him.
Is that in 11.4?
That is what is explained on 11.4. Because on 11.4, I said the position of the fired cartridge case on top of the deceased body gave the impression that the deceased was already lying or seated there where when the shot was fired and was placed on top of him after the incident. So basically after falling, it came the ricochet and fall on top of him. So it was placed there after, not that somebody picked it up and put it there. It fell on top of him after the shot was fired.
Yes. Now, there is still that firearm appears at photo 11, which we must still account for.
Yes, Chair, there's a pistol that is lying on the bed here. That they allege that he grabbed the firearm and he wanted to shoot at them and then he was shot.
Yes. And what is your opinion on that account?
Chair, I would say the same modus operandi as other cases that we have done.
Meaning?
After the victim has been shot, the firearm will be found, and the modus operandi is that he wanted to grab a firearm or he grabbed a firearm, and then the members shot him.
Yes. Now, you mentioned his brother, the deceased's brother. I think we do have the name of the deceased. If Mr. Pilane Obed Dlamini. So you mentioned that Mr. Dlamini's brother was in the vicinity.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. Can you just explain what, at the time you had access to the statement, what did it say?
Chair, when we came there to reconstruct, he was there. I think he was there. He's the one who explained to us that he was hiding in that other room, as I have explained, and he saw them shooting the brother, and they started assaulting him, and then they shot him. And he could see, but he was quiet by then. He couldn't do anything. After he was shot, they placed the firearm in the brother's hand and pulled the trigger so that he can test positive for primary residue. When the shot was fired, that's when he started to scream. They noticed that there was somebody inside the room. But by then, the community members were already out. They couldn't do anything to him. He just came out, and then they let him go.
Yes. This is the second case where there is an eyewitness who sees that a firearm is being placed there in this inquiry. And this eyewitness told you personally this story.
That is correct, because when we went there to reconstruct, we needed somebody who stays in that, who knows the scene. And he's the one who was there, who explained to us everything there.
Thank you. Do you know his name?
Chair, I can't recall his name,
Yes.
but the statement was in the docket.
Yes, no, that's fine. We will find it at some point. We may ask him to come and give evidence to this panel. Madam Chair, it is 11:20. I'm in the panel's hands, but I've finished with this docket.
Are you done with this document?
Yes, I am. Well, I haven't asked the witness if he has got anything else to add. Sorry. Is there anything you feel you have left out?
No, Chair. That's enough.
Yes. Thank you. We are finished with the document.
And this document that was handed to us that reflects missing sections would have contained also the statement of the deceased brother. Possible?
Yes, we assume, Madam Chair, because if the statement was once in the docket, it would have been either in B or in C. Is that correct, Lieutenant Kennedy?
That's correct, Chair.
Yes.
I have just an observation. If and Lieutenant Colonel, please assist me here. If one wanted to make a scene look like this person was shot in self-defense because of that gun, wouldn't, I'm going to use a test that might not apply, wouldn't a reasonable person made sure that the cartridge that bounced on the wall and fell on the body, made sure that it's not there, so that because it is proof. If we take what you are saying, it is proof that the deceased was shot on the head while lying down by the mere fact that the cartridge fell on his body. Now, wouldn't a reasonable dishonest person take that cartridge away from the body? Because it is proof that the person was shot while lying down.
Chair, it's difficult to answer such questions because I don't know what were they thinking, or they didn't even worry about some of the things that they were doing. Because if you look at some instances, you find the 5.56 caliber cartridge case on the scene, but we can't explain how or where did they shoot with this rifle. And in some instances, you find that it's close range. There's propellant powder, so it shows that they didn't worry about some of the things that they were doing. If I know that at this range, there will be the presence of propellant powder particles, I wouldn't do that because I know that this can create a problem for me. So I think in most of the cases, they didn't worry about such things.
It could be attributed to being either careless or not caring because of their protection.
Possibly so, Chair.
Yes, thank you. Colonel, we're going to take a tea break until about 5 to, let me say, 12 o'clock. During the tea break, Advocate Nkcukaitobi, you will verify some of the things that we spoke about.
Yes.
This document that was handed to us, we will also check with our researchers and anything else that needs to be brought to our attention pertaining to documents that needs to be filed of record by yourself.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
If not now, when we reconvene by lunchtime.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I get the picture.
Yes, you are still under oath, Colonel. We'll adjourn for tea. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Colonel. And good afternoon, Advocate Chauke. You are still under oath, Colonel. You may proceed, Advocate Nkcukaitobi.
Madam Chair, thank you. I should start with where we ended with docket UMLAS 585/01/11. What we've now been able to establish is that there are two covered dockets, covers to the dockets. There is 585 and 586. What seems to have happened, it seems at the NPA level, because there are two separate covers, is that documents from 585 were put in 586. But Section B and Section C are still missing. And we have no way of knowing where they are, why they are missing. But luckily for us and for the panel, there are a number of statements in Section A. And I would like to, with the leave of the panel, to just go back to those statements because we didn't put them to the witness. But they come from 586/01/11, which we found it's the strangest things because the documents themselves talk about 585/01/11, but they are under the cover of 586/01/11. So if we could do that, I'm going to put...
Thank you, Council. Yes, they explained to us during tea break, and we have seen that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So if we could start with UL 0057. So there is a statement just behind you, Lieutenant Colonel. So if you look at just at the top to see the name. Yes. Now that is the name Ndaba Mhlongo. Now, according to the statement, you will see how he describes himself. This is one of the eyewitnesses. He says, I'm an adult male with ID number, number 27 years old, residing at number 107, T-section, Kwati, Umlazi, Durban. With cell phone number, he gives the number. I'm currently working peace jobs, etc. Then he explains what happened on that day, or that morning. On Friday, 2011-01-21, early hours of the morning at about 2 a.m., I was sleeping together with my cousin, Soka Mhlongo, my elder brother, who is now deceased, Obet, I think it's Pila Dlamini. So Mr. Dlamini, you would confirm is the deceased, Lieutenant Colonel?
Chair, I am not sure of the name of the deceased.
Yes, thank you. Obed Pila Dlamini was sleeping on the other room next to where we were sleeping. Two rooms were divided by a curtain. I could see where my brother deceased, Obed, was sleeping. I woke up after a loud big bang. I lifted my head, remained inside the blankets. Many people came inside the house. Those people introduced themselves as police officers. It was mixed white Indian, and I also noticed one black member amongst them. Most were whites. Those police officers were forcing him, my brother, that's now Mr. Dlamini, to agree the name of Tyson Pilan. My brother said he was Obed Pila Dlamini. My brother even said he can produce his identity document. My brother was answering them while his hands were lifted up, showing to surrender from those police officers. One white police officer was pointed a firearm to my brother and was the one who questioned my brother. The very same white police officer called my brother closer to him. The white police officer fired shots on my brother. It sounds as if the police officer fired more than two in the same time. My brother then fell down. The very same white man who fired shots went outside and said, "Gun, gun." White police officer came back with a handgun. He went to my brother, who was lying on the floor. A white police officer lifted my brother's hands and put that handgun as if my brother was firing shots. Shooting more than one shot were fired from my brother's hand, while the white police holding a gun together with my brother's hand. Now, this is one of the eyewitnesses. Can you comment on this?
That is correct, Chair. I think this is the statement that I was talking about.
Yes. Well, there is a second one. Second statement from another eyewitness, another brother. There were two brothers, apparently. So that you will see at UL 0062. And that is the Soka Petras Mhlongo. Can you see that?
Yes.
Now, he first describes himself, and then from paragraph 2, he deals with that incident. On Friday, 2011, 0121, at about 2 a.m., I was sleeping together with my brother, Ndaba Mhlongo. I was sleeping in the same room with Ndaba. My other brother, Obed Pila, was sleeping on the other side. The room where Obed was sleeping was next door. Two rooms were divided by curtain. I was sleeping on top of the bed. Ndaba was sleeping on the floor. Where I was sleeping, I could see where Obed was sleeping. Our beds were straight to each other. I could see what was happening on his side, and he can also do the same. I then woke up after a loud big bang on the door. I remained inside the blankets. I heard noise. I could hear that those people introduced themselves as police officers. One white man, Indian, and one black police officer. A white police officer approached my brother, Obed. White policeman wanted Obed to accept the name Tyson Obed. Obed told him that he was Pila Obed Dlamini. I could see everything because it happened on my view. Police officer had forced or had torch to provide light. A black police officer ordered my brother Obed to produce identity document. A white police officer said no. Obed's hands were lifted up behind his head. A black police officer went out together with an Indian one. My brother remained with a white police officer. A white officer called my brother closer. My brother made 2 or 3 steps towards a white police officer. A torch was still on. I could see everything, and my brother's hands were still up behind his head. A white policeman fired 3 shots at Obed. Obed fell down. A white policeman went outside. A white police came back quickly with small gun and put against or on my brother's hand. Shots fired. I am not sure whether the very same small firearm fired shots, but I heard a sound of small firearm around the house. So if you can just stop there. Is this consistent with what you were told on the scene?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. What would be the reason from a scientific point of view to kill a person and not only to put a firearm next to them, but to also make them hold it in their own hand while shooting, but they are dead already?
Chair, the reason was to ensure that the person tests positive for primary residue as he was shooting at them.
Yes. And why would you try to do that?
Chair, if you look at most of their statements, their defense will be that the suspect was shooting at them and they shot back. So they will insist that the CRC, LCRC, when they come, or the photographers, they must make sure that they take the primary residue to send them for analysis. And then that will be their defense, that the person tested positive for primary residue, meaning that he was shooting at them.
Yes. Thank you very much. In fact, if you go to another statement, what does it say?
Paragraph 8 irrelevant.
Yes, Madam Chair. It will be. I've just overridden my junior who wanted me to read paragraph 8, but so if you go back to that same statement at page UL 0064. Can you see that? Can you?
Yes, I can see that.
All right. It says, the very same white man, police, went to the door and fired the fourth bullet from his big gun. A curtain was opened. In process, a white policeman noticed that there were people sleeping on the other side. Where I was sleeping, it was dark. That was the reason those policemen could not see us on the first occasion. I wanted to switch the lights on the room I was sleeping. A white policeman ordered us not to switch the light. Paragraph 9. We were taken out and made to lie on the ground. We were asked about Obed, and we told officer that he was Obed Dlamini Pila. Obed was using Dlamini's surname, which was our mother's maiden surname. I called Obed and Daba my brothers. They are not my sibling or biological brothers from one mother or one father. We were all Mhlongo, different mother and father. Our fathers were brothers. Obed had no firearm. He was killed without fighting those police officers. I am definitely sure that police came with the firearm that was found later next to Obed. Yes. And then it's the next, it's a commissioner's certificate. Now, is this consistent with what you learned on the scene?
That's correct, Chair. It's consistent to what we had on the scene.
Now, the oddity about this is the statement from IPID. If I can just take you to that statement. There's a statement from IPID, which is UL 0043. Yes, that's the statement from Shamila Henrietta Williams, who says, I'm an adult female. I am employed at the Independent Complaints Directorate, where I hold the rank of senior investigator. I am currently attached to the KwaZulu-Natal office, 3rd floor Marine Building, Gardner Street, Durban, and then it gives a cell number. Paragraph 2, I perform standby duties for the week 2011-01-17 until 2011-01-24 for the KwaZulu-Natal office. Those duties include the attendance of crime scenes and where members of the South African Police Service, as well as the Metro Police officers, are implicated. On the, it's either 12th or 21st day of January 2011, I attended a shooting scene at F section in Umlazi where SAPS members fatally wounded a suspect after he had fired shots at them. Now, start here. I mean, IPID already concludes that the SAPS members retaliated after they were shot. What do you say to that?
Because I think at this stage he took their version of the incident, how he told him, or told her.
Yes. It actually gets worse. The mother of the deceased was interviewed and she submitted a statement and informed us that her son had indeed come home with money, but that he did not provide her with an explanation of where he received it, but only that it was his salary from his new job. She also informed us that her son had a firearm. There were no witnesses traced at the scene that could dispute the SAPS version. Now, what do you say to that?
I don't know where does the statement come from, Chair.
Yes. But I mean, is it false or true that there were no witnesses that could be traced to dispute the version of the police?
There were witnesses who were in the house.
And what does this say then about the investigation by IPID? That they can, on their own version, just accept what the police are saying?
Chair, I would say there was no investigation conducted on this matter.
Yes. Thank you very much.
That was a statement taken from the deceased mother in the light of what the IPED officer is saying.
Chair,
Do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't know the statement taken from the mother because the mother was not there. According to the witness that was at the scene, who gave us their version of the incident, the mother was not there. And it's a two-roomed house where the brother was sleeping in one room, they were sleeping in another room. Where they're saying it's divided by a curtain. It's a curtain. When you close the door, going outside, it's a curtain. But when you open the door that comes into the house closes the one that's where the curtain is.
Yes, what I'm saying is the senior investigator, Investigator Shamela Williams, is telling us about what the deceased mother told her. Now I'm asking, shouldn't we then be having a statement of the deceased mother?
They were supposed to have a statement from the mother in the docket.
Yes.
Madam Chair, we do have that statement. It's at UL 0005.
Five.
Yes, 0005.
UL 0005?
Yes, Madam Chair. Now, the name of the deceased mother is Babongile Dlamini, Miss Babongile Dlamini. Can you see that? Can you see that, Lieutenant Colonel?
Yes, I can see that, Chair.
Thank you very much. Now, the relevant parts, apart from giving personal details, is when she says at paragraph 2, on Monday, 2011-01-17, at about 0525, my son Pilani Obed-Lamin left home for a temporary job. He said they had found in Durban or town. On the same day, at about 1300 hours, my other son, Dabamhlong, informed me that Pilani had phoned him to meet him in town, but he never went as he was tired. On the same day, at about 1600 hours, Pilani came back with his new clothes that he had bought from town. I asked him about the new clothes, and he told me that he got paid at his new job, and that how he bought his clothes. Later that day, at about 1700 hours, Pilani left home and said he was going to sleep over his girlfriend by Mango Suit, which I don't know. Pilani came back on Tuesday, 2011-01-18. During the day, he stayed for a while and later informed me that he was going to Oradville, Stanger, to see his child. When I came back from the clinic, he was already gone. Later that day, at about 19:30, Pilani phoned me and told me that he was going to sleep over his other home, which is at Cradeville, and further informed me that he did not see his child because it doesn't seem to be relevant. Paragraph 8, Pilani came back on Wednesday, 2011-01-19. He was at home and he slept over the house that day. On Thursday, 2011-01-20, Pilani left and said he was going to his friends, that after he had received a phone call. He did not come back until we went to sleep. We live in a 3-room shack house, and Pilane occupies the center room. On Friday, 2011-01-21, at about 200 hours, I was asleep in my room with my sister, Teresa Batabile Dlamini, and we were woken up by some noise, by someone who was kicking the door. Batabile woke up to open the door, and the door was already open, and the door frame was on the floor. We had people say it's the police in Zulu and said they were looking for Pila, but Batabile informed them that he was on the next room. After that, I heard gunshots and the other door being kicked open while Pila was sleeping. The police were talking Afrikaans outside and could not understand what they were saying. I told them, one of them speaking in Zulu, saying, "Don't run, you're going to get shot." The gunshots were continuing. One police came to us and told us that they're trying to enter the room and someone is shooting at them, even though they have introduced themselves as police. I then asked where, meaning in which room, and he said here, pointing in the middle room where Pilane is sleeping. After a while, one other policeman came in and sat down and informed us that someone had been shot dead, and he gave the description, and I realized it was Pilane, my son. We sat in the room and never went to where Pila was. I know and understand the content of the statement. I have no objection. Now, if you just compare what is being said here versus what IPID says around the incident, is it not clear that this, the mother of Mr. Dlamini did not actually witness the incident?
That's correct. Yeah. If she was not in the room that the incident occurred, she was in another room, because I think the room was the third one from the one where the two were sleeping in.
Yes. Now, she then also says that that is IPIT, that the son owns a firearm. Correct? Now, what is the relevance of that the mere fact that a person owns a firearm?
Chair, if they're saying the son owns the firearm, would ask if it's a licensed one or unlicensed one. If it's a licensed one, you're supposed to produce a license, at least to have a copy of the licensed one. So, if you're saying the son owns a firearm, how would she know that the son owns a firearm? It's either she took information that he got from the police and used it to write her statement.
No, but I'm saying that if the mother says, look, I know my son has a firearm, what is the relevance of that to the actual killing?
I don't think it would have the relevance in the killing of the person.
Yes. Because
But does she say that in her statement, or did I miss it?
there is a statement from Ms. Williams who says, the mother told me that my son owns a firearm.
Yes, I'm saying the mother. Does she say that in her statement?
Yes, I thought she does, Madam Chair.
She does.
Yes. But yes, she gave a second statement. So if you go to the second statement at UL 0008, paragraph 4, she says, I know that my son had a firearm because at one stage I had him talking with his friends outside the room about the firearm. And when I confronted him, he did not deny, but said he needed protection. So that's the highest this is put, that
Yes.
I once heard that my son has a firearm. And this is the point I'm asking you. So according to IPIT, the mere fact that you have a fire, I don't understand actually what they're saying. Do you understand it?
Chair, I don't understand the relevance of that statement in this incident.
Yes. Thank you. And then just to complete, you still need to go to right. Yeah. Just to complete the version of the police, remember that on your version, and according to the version of the eyewitnesses, Mr. Dlamini was killed by a white policeman. Was shot by a white policeman.
That's correct, Chair.
And then who shot him twice on the chest and then finished him on the head
On the
while he
head.
was lying down.
That's correct, Chair.
Now, here is something that is a bit of an oddity. At UL 0030, this is a statement given by Rubendran Naidu, who was one of the police officers present during the killing of Mr. Dlamini, who says on Friday 20, so that looks to be irrelevant until, or yes, maybe it is. On Friday 20th January 2011, I was on duty and conducting investigation duties in Montclair case 182/01/2011, murder of an SAP member. During the night, 2 suspects were arrested for the above case. One of the suspects thereafter proceeded in pointing out the third suspect, Pilar Dlamini. The suspect pointed out several shacks in T section. Further information was the Pilar Dlamini was armed and was the gunman during the murder of the police officer. At about 2:15 on the 21st of January, I proceeded to T107 Umlas at this stage. I was in the company of Detective Warrant Officer Mostert and Detective Officer Warrant Officer Smith. Prior to us searching the shack, several other shacks were searched for the suspect by other members. I proceeded and kicked the door open. As I entered the shack, screaming out, "Police, police," I heard a firearm cock and a black male, partly dressed, fire a shot in my direction. I was armed with my R5 rifle, serial number, and fired 3 shots towards the black male. The suspect fell to the floor alongside the bed. The firearm, a pistol, fell onto the bed. I proceeded tactically towards the suspect. I noticed he was seriously wounded on his chest and head. I requested Detective Warrant Officer Mostert to contact the paramedics and the relevant role players. Now here what we have is Mr. Naidu admits to having been the one who killed the suspect or the deceased. But the eyewitnesses say actually it was the white man who killed the deceased.
And Chair, if you look at the shack, it's a very small shack where there's no space. If you said the victim or the suspect moved and fired a shot, in a shot that is less than 2 meters, or 2 to 3 meters, and he missed him. That's when he fired the shot. He moved tactically. Can't move tactically in a shack that is only 2-3 meters. And look at the wound sustained on the chest. It's a close range shot where the firearm was less than, was about, as I said, approximately 50 centimeters from the.
Yes. Well, I mean, you would have expected that if he says the suspect shot, you would have expected that there would be the cartridges of the firearm used by the suspect. But according to your testimony, the cartridges recovered, there are 5.56.
Only those of 5.56.
Yes. Thank you.
Are you able to comment to this statement that is put to you by Advocate Ngcukaitobi, that notwithstanding the fact that the eyewitness says it's a white male that fired shots, now we hear Mr. Naidu claiming to be the one that actually fired shots at the deceased. Do you have any comment to that?
Chair, I wouldn't say who fired the shot, but only thing that I can say that was the shots were fired with an R5 and was shot at a close range. It's only the statement of the witness that says it's a white male, but I cannot confirm whether it's a white male or whether it's Naidu. That I cannot do.
So you have no comment on that?
I have no comment on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We were about. We were about to move then to Randburg at 2/84. Now, this is one of those where there is no docket at all that's been placed here, but your report already refers to contents of the docket. Is that correct, Lieutenant Colonel?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes. Can you just tell us what happened here? From paragraph 325, 326.
Right, on the Randburg matter, on 325, on the 15th of October, I attended the crime scene in Westminster Street, Bryanston, at the request of Lieutenant Colonel Ramkosi of the DPCI, Directorate of Priority Crimes Investigation, with the task team. On the same day, I received a police case docket with case number Randburg case 712 of 9/2011, which included the following: the post-mortem report with reference number, death register number 1767/2011, compiled by Dr. Shakira Holland. Statement by Detective Warrant Officer Ganes Jeremy Martin.
Have we seen them before in other scenes?
That's correct, Chair. I have came across these names in other cases.
Thank you.
The crime scene photo album compiled by Constable Alex Khare Makherwana. The premises had been renovated and tiled, and therefore no physical examination of bullet or impact at the site that could be conducted. Crime scene analysis. The post-mortem report describes 6 gunshot wounds. 2 wounds, which is wound 3 and wound 6, displayed tattooing as depicted in photos 13 to photos 16 of the report.
We have to give a warning that there will be sensitive material flighted soon. Thank you. So just before you go through that, the one thing that's unique about this report is that you actually had attachments from the hospital, the forensic pathology services, as well as what appears to be a report by the pathologist. So if you go through to 2A 261 up to 2A 275.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, where did you obtain those?
I made copies from the case docket.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, you wanted to, so if you want to make references to the report of the pathologist which deals with these wounds, that will be at 2A 268.
That is correct, yeah. From 267, that's where the post-mortem started. And it covers 268 and 69.
You may proceed, Lieutenant Colonel.
Right, Chair, the wounds as I've marked on the photos are consistent with the report, and I've numbered them on the body as they are numbered on the post-mortem report. Right, the post-mortem, I'll go through to post-mortem report, and then the wounds are consistent with the photos, and the post-mortem report can be read in conjunction with the report that I've compiled, so that the wounds can be seen on the crime scene photos.
Sorry, Colonel, Counsel, we are dealing with Randbeck.
Yes, Madam Chair.
At which pages of the report?
2A, 247.
2A, 247.
Yes.
And when you look at 2A, 264, the Forensic Pathology Services, Johannesburg, it refers to serial number 1767/2011. And then in the middle of that document, it refers to laboratory's own case number 1767. There's no mention of the case, the Randbeck case number, or where is it mentioned here? How do we know this pathology report relates to the Randbeck case 712/09/2014? Am I missing something here?
Perhaps a useful way of dealing with that would be to ask the witness to look at 2A, 249 at paragraph 5. Lieutenant Colonel, can you look at your report at 2A, 249, paragraph 5?
2A,
249 at paragraph 5. What do you say there?
5.1, the postmortem.
No, just read the whole sentence.
Okay. On the same day, I received a copy of the police case docket with reference Randbeck case 712/09/2011 from Lieutenant Colonel Lieutenant Colonel Ramkosi. Amongst other documents in the docket, I found the following documents which were to be utilized in crime scene reconstruction. 5.1, the post-mortem report with death register number 1767/2011, compiled by Dr. Shakira Holland and was signed on the 31st of May 2012.
It does address my question, Counsel.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can take us through your reconstruction, Lieutenant Colonel, in your own way.
I interrupted you, Colonel, sorry. You may proceed. You're dealing with...
Chair, I'll go through the report first.
yes, okay.
I've also received the statement of Warrant Officer Ganes, statement of Warrant Officer Jeremy Martin, a statement of Warrant Officer of Detective Sergeant Raymond Lee, and Warrant Officer Paul Mostert. The photo album of the crime scene compiled by Constable Alex Khare Makherwani. During my investigation of the crime scene, I found that the unit was renovated and the floor was tiled. No examination was conducted at the scene by then. On photo 4534534 shows the room that was renovated. And on paragraph 7, on observation of the crime scene photos by Constable Carr, I noticed the position of the deceased, the wounds, and position of the wounds sustained by the deceased, and exhibits at the crime scene. So photo 5 shows the crime scene, and photo 6 shows the entrance of the apartment.
If you could just help us, when you say photo 5, you also give us the page, because there is a record we're working on.
Page 2A252. And in photo 7 on 2A253, showing position of the deceased.
Caution to the viewers, Council.
Yes, if we haven't, we caution every sensitive viewer that we are going to flight sensitive images. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
On photo 8, showing the position of the fired cartridge cases inside the house.
Photo 8.
Photo 8, yes.
Yes. Okay, you are still going to tell us, because it's not obvious to me, at least, that they are cartridges, but what are the indicators that we are looking at cartridges?
Right, the cones that are seen on the photos indicate the cartridge cases or exhibits collected from the scene or found at the scene.
Thank you.
Photo 8, 2A.
On photo 8,
253.
2A253. And photo 9 on 2A254 shows the position of the wounds sustained by the deceased. Photo 10 shows the position of wound mark 6. Photo 11 shows the position of wound mark 1. Photo 12 showing the position of the wound sustained. This would be the left arm. On observation of the post-mortem report, I took note of the following wounds and their position as described by the doctor. I also noticed that the wounds as described are consistent with the wounds as visible on the photos. The wounds on photos above were marked by me as described in the post-mortem report. According to the post-mortem report, there is a 190 by 100 millimeter area of tattooing around or surrounding wound mark 6, Now, if you look at wound mark 6, which is visible on photo 13, so around this wound, there's a visible tattooing around, which indicates that the shot was a close-range shot.
Where are you? At 13?
Paragraph 9 on page 28256.
No, I just wanted you to tell us when you say visible tattooing, it's not obvious to us. If you can just draw us specifically to that point.
Right, if you go to photo 14 and 15, just below that one.
I thought that you're referring to the tattooing at photo 13, just below 6. Earlier on, you referred to that. Would you please start at 6?
Wound 6. Close-up photo of wound 6.
Yeah, no, photo 13.
Photo 13.
Yes.
Yes, photo
were you
13.
referring to the
Yes, we're
tattooing?
referring to this
Tattooing
part.
somewhere? Is there any tattooing there?
That is correct, Chair. And then let's go to the photo 14 and photo 15. Now, this is what you call tattooing there. This is the unbent propellant powder particles penetrating the skin. They'll create something like this. And you can even see it around this part of the wound. So that's around wound number 6. So this indicates that the firearm was close to the body of the deceased when the shot was discharged.
Yes, thank you.
And it says there's also a 10 by 10 millimeter area of tattooing surrounding wound mark 3 on the left upper chest. Right, wound mark 3 would be this one. So it's basically here on the chest towards the armpit. And there's also tattooing around these wounds. So these 2 wounds were shot at close range. Or these 2 shots were fired at close range to the target. Right. What I did, I conducted the test to determine more or less the distance between it. As mentioned in paragraph 10, I said I used the same type of firearm used, the 9mm parabellum Vector model Z88 pistol with a 9mm parabellum caliber PMP ammunition, the police issue ammunition, to conduct the test with the aim of obtaining similar size or pattern of the tattooing. At a distance of 300 millimeters, meaning 30 centimeters, from the muzzle of the firearm, I obtained a pattern of approximately 200 millimeters surrounding the entrance wound. This implies that both shots were fired at the range of not more than 300 millimeters, meaning 30 centimeters from the body of the deceased. The smaller the pattern of tattooing, the closer your firearm will be to the target.
Your statement, through your counsel, at the paragraph 329, you don't refer to the distance of 200 millimeter that you refer to in your report.
The statement,
In your
witness statement.
the witness
in your
statement,
affidavit, at 2-85.
285.
Yes, paragraph 329.
Yes, Chair.
At 329, I think you are describing what you are saying in your report at paragraph 10. Am I correct?
That's correct, Chair.
And I'm saying, in the second sentence, you say at a distance of approximately 300 millimeter from the muzzle, a tattooing pattern similar in size was obtained. Now, in paragraph 10, you refer to the distance of approximately 200 millimeter. like to comment on that?
At the distance of 300 millimeters, the
Yes.
muzzle of the firearm.
Yes,
10,
as stated
13.
in paragraph 10. I'm saying just to explain what you are telling us in your statement at paragraph 329.
Yes, Chair.
That seems
When-
not to repeat what you are saying in the report about the distance, the approximation you are given there.
Yes, Chair, that's the distance, approximate distance from the muzzle of the firearm to the target when the shots were fired. So I did the test with the same type of firearm, with the same type of ammunition.
Yeah.
And what you do is, when you do the test, you measure the tattoo in the size or diameter of the tattoo. Now, after measuring that, it will give you the distance, or more or less the distance, how far the firearm was when the shot was fired.
Almost clearly just an approximation, not
It's
exact.
approximately.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, on paragraph 11 on 28258, after my observation of the crime scene photos and post-mortem report, I reached the following conclusion. The deceased was shot at least 6 times. Some of the bullets re-entered the body. The possible sequence of the shots are as follows. The first shot was at wound number 3. At this shot, the firearm was very close to the body of the deceased. The second shot was at wound number 6. At this shot, the distance had increased comparing to the first shot at wound number 3. This shot was fired at the distance as the deceased turned away from the shooter towards the right hand of and his left arm against the body. The other 2 shots were fired at the deceased as he fell down, as wound number 7 and wound number 8. Both bullets perforated the left arm of the deceased and re-entered the body at wounds number 4 and number 2 and number 4. Both wounds 2 and 4 are surrounded by eccentric collar of abrasion, which is most prominent the inferolateral. Now, in this instance, when these wounds were inflicted, the arm of the deceased was against the body, so it enters, it exits on the side, and it re-entered the body. So there was a tight, I would say tight, can I use the term? Or the body was pressed tight against, the arm was pressed tight against the body. So when the bullet exits on the arm, it re-entered on the body. So now, because it's too tight, the skin of the arm and of the body is too tight, it creates that type of a wound that we see on photos. Photo number 9, where it says on wound number 4 and wound number 2. When those bullets exit, it enters in this wound and in this other wound, wound number 2 and wound number 4.
So can you just explain this? I understand your point that the arm was pressed to the body of the deceased. What I don't understand is, where do you say the bullet entered and exited in reference to the positioning of the shooter?
I would say when the shot was fired, the first one is fired, and then he turned around, the second shot is fired. As he falls down, the other shots followed. So all the shots were coming from this until he fell down to the ground.
I see.
Then after falling there, that's when the wound at the back comes.
So he falls with his front.
He falls with his front, and then he was
They
shot at the
shoot him
back.
at the back.
That's mentioned on 11.24. The fifth shot was at wound number 1. This wound was inflicted while the deceased was lying on the floor on his front. The bullet entered the back and was retrieved in the right side of the head.
Yes. Again, on that point, so he is lying on his stomach. And where do they shoot him? In his head? Or do they shoot him in the body?
Photo 11.
So is that the entry, the arrow there?
That's correct. That's the entry of this bullet.
So how does it happen that it exits through, how does it get to the head?
So if you look at the angle, if you're shooting at him at the close range, it would go down to the chest. But if it's there and then you're shooting from a distance, your bullet is coming to the direction. It goes towards the handle. So it will be found lodged somewhere in the head there. And then on 11.25, the last shot, the sixth shot, was fired at the left side of the head of the deceased as he was lying on the floor. This is the only bullet that exited the body of the deceased. A fired bullet was recovered as the body of the deceased was moved and it was positioned just below the head of the deceased. I'm of the opinion that this is the finishing shot. So after
you
he
just show
fell,
us that particular shot, the shot that went to the head.
the one that went through the head,
Yes, the one that you say was the finishing shot.
it would be on photo number 19, 28259. Photo 19, 28259. Your entrance will be here. It goes this side and the exit is on the other side, this side.
5A and 5B.
That's correct, Chair.
But on your version, he is lying on his stomach.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes, I suppose they could still shoot him from the side of the head.
If we look at photo number 7 again,
Let's see.
there's photo number 7. So your entrance basically is this side of the head, and then the exit is on the other side. And when this body was removed, a 9mm bullet was found underneath the head.
The one that you described at photo 11, in relation to the gun wound, the back, the entry gun wound at the back, and then you demonstrated that if it is shot at a distance, a little distance, it will then slide towards the back of the head. Is that the same as the one that you've just shown us now? If you look at photo 11?
At photo 11, I can see photo 11, Chair.
Yes. You just described to us that entry wound.
That is correct. Chair, Chair, the entrance wound would be this one here at the back.
Yes.
And because of the position that he is, if you are shooting at him at the close range, like in this position, it would be in here and come out towards the chest or on the front of the chest.
Yes.
But because he's lying on the floor in this position, when you are close, you shoot it, it will go this direction. But because the person was shooting at him was a little bit further away from him,
Yes.
he shot at him at an angle. So the bullet, instead of somebody who's close, it will go this way. Because I'm here, it enters here, it goes to this direction,
To the
So-
side of the head.
to the side of the head. So it enters here like in this angle where it enters and then it goes there to the head, but not to the chest, because of the distance where the shooter was.
And it is not the same wound that you've just shown us at picture, the last one that you showed us on the side.
No, Chair, the one that is on the side of the face, on the left hand, that enters on the left and exit on the right.
It is a different one.
It's a different shot. This was the finishing shot. It went through and through, it's out.
That's another
The
one.
one that we're talking about, it's in here,
Yes,
but it was removed during postmortem inside the head of the
Thank you.
deceased.
I understand now.
Yes. Have you done photo 20?
Photo 20, Chair, this is the 9mm bullet that was found underneath the head of the deceased. So this is the bullet that went through the head of the deceased, where it enters on the left hand side and exit on the right.
Yes. And then what are your conclusions on this?
Chair, when I look at the incident, how it transpired, the shooter started shooting at him at the close range, and as he falls, he followed up with a shot. So he was shot, yeah, this will be the first shot, and as he moved away, it started to fall back. The other shots followed on the side. This was closer, and then comes this at the range of around 30 centimeters, and he moved back forward, he fall forward towards the cushions where he was found. When he fell there, that wound was inflicted at the back, the bullet was found in the head, and then this was just the finishing where the bullet was found underneath the body, where the body was lying.
Is that reconcilable with a person who's attacking?
No, Chair, I would disagree with it.
May I just come in on your conclusions, ne? At page 2A, 258, the report. Now, in particular, I want to ask you about item number 11.1. Do you see that? As one of your conclusions, that the deceased was shot at least 6 times.
That's correct, Chair.
Right. Now, the question that I'd like to ask is as to why is it that it appears you are not able to say with certainty the number of times that the deceased was shot?
Chair, I said at least
At
6
least,
times.
yes.
Because normally I'll write it at least 6 times. He was shot at 6. I would prefer to say at least 6 times, not less than 6 times, because you have multiple wounds where you have entrance and exit. But with those wounds, if you look at, you count the wounds sustained, you count them individually, you will think he was shot more than 6 times. So now here I would say at least, that will be the least number of shots that could have been fired at him, would be 6. So it's the first one here, the second one, and then these 2 that penetrate, and then the 5th one, the 6th one will be on the side.
So actually, like you have illustrated when you were leading evidence, you said like one shot cost more than one entry point.
That's correct. It enters on the arm and then exit and re-enter the body on the side.
So it means the entry point is not the determinant factor as to whether how many shots struck the deceased.
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Ramakgagh. I was looking at the pathology report.
I'm sorry, sir. But your last answer your answer to my sister here Is it not inconsistent with what you say at 11.26 at 2A-258? 2A-258. If you look at the last paragraph, 11.2.6.
Where I said the deceased sustained gunshot wound from 6 shots.
Yes. What was your answer to my sister earlier?
Where I said at least 6 times.
Yes, that seems to be definite. If you look at the wounds sustained, isn't it?
That's correct, Chair. It's 6 times.
Yeah.
Look, I just want to add more confusion, because if you go to the pathology report, I mean, it could be that it's simply because I'm reading it as a layman at 2A-268. They
Yes.
count the under item 4, external appearance of body.
Yes, sir.
Wound 1, wound 2, wound 3, wound 4, wound 5A, 5B, wound 6, wound 7A, wound 7B, wound 8A, and 8B. So it's many more wounds than the shots.
Yes, Chair. If you look at the post-mortem, the doctor would describe each and every wound that is there. So you describe the wound as wound A1 or wound A, or wound B will be the exit of wound A, or wound 2 will be the exit of wound 1. And where it re-enters, he continues with the counting of those wounds. That's why if you look at the numbering of the wounds on the body, I want exactly the same as what the doctor has mentioned in the post-mortem report, because I didn't want to cause confusion. Now, if the wounds, as I have marked them on the bodies, is the same way that the doctor has marked them on the post-mortem report, where you have wound 6 here, and then you will have another wound where it exits, the doctor will mark it separate, and then you have the wound that penetrates again. So all the wounds are from the 6 shots. Even if you can have about 10 wounds, you'll be in, out, and in. Bullet was recovered in the body. If this bullet exited on the side, this will have another markings, or will have another numbering. Then you'll see that it will be more wounds than the number of shots fired.
I see. All right. No, thank you. I think you've explained it. Yes. Thank you very much. You had made 2 conclusions around the possibility of an attack and the police warding off the attack. Which are set out at paragraph 334 and 335. Maybe you can read those into the record.
334.
Of your statement, yes. 335, 336, 337, 338.
From 334, in conclusions.
Yes.
Right. 334, in conclusions, observed that the deceased was shot 6 times. 2 shots were fired at close range. Shots were fired while the deceased was upright and while the deceased was turning, when the deceased fell, and while the deceased was lying in a prone position. The final shot inflicted to the head of the deceased while he was lying on the ground. Then 5 bullets were recovered from the body of the deceased. 1 was recovered at the crime scene. These conclusions are based on ballistic trajectory analysis and controlled distance determination, or distance testing, or distance determination is the same.
Yes, and the report we've just dealt with, which was originally CM16, but it's the document that appears at 2A247, correct?
That's correct, Chair.
And I did try to find the name of the deceased. I think his name is mentioned in the pathology report as Mr. Sbusiso Selby Kumalo.
Chair, I can't recall the name of the deceased in this.
Well, it's at 2A 275. In the third paragraph, on 2011 0927, and at Johannesburg, the body was identified to me, that is to Dr. Navondo, by Elsie Tole of Moy Refir as being the body of Sbusiso Selby Kumalo.
Yes, I can see that, Chair.
And also at 265,
Yes, so
265.
265 is there.
you will also see that the name Sbusiso Selby Kumalo appears there. Almost share a birthday, because he was born in the same year, same month, and 10 days before I was born.
Not bad luck for you.
It's taking me closer to the deceased. Madam Chair, it is just about 1:20. I'm ready to move to Heidelberg, but I'm in your hands about whether I should or should take the adjournment.
Thank you, Council. We'll take our lunch a little bit early and reconvene an hour later. Colonel, we are going to pause for lunch and reconvene at 2:20. You are still under oath.
I'm still under oath, Chair.
You can then proceed with Heidelberg when we reconvene.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you. We adjourn.